There's an island off the coast of Indonesia. It's got white sandy beaches and waters filled with vibrant marine life. Majestic creatures from manta rays to dolphins play near the coast. The island is part of the world's Ring of Fire and it's rife with volcanic activity. Just on this 6,000 square kilometer plot of land alone, there are 3 active volcanoes. With such fertile soil, it's no surprise that paddy fields are endless and forests are lush. There are endemic species of birds like the Bali myna, the yellow-throated hanging parrots, and the black-banded barbet. And primates, from langurs to macaques, which are especially abundant. Honestly, some might even dub this island the Hawaii of Southeast Asia. But not anymore. The Bali mynas are now critically endangered, the manta rays are eating plastic, and the monkeys are so done with tourists shoving cameras up their faces. The vast open lands once blanketed with rice paddies, gone. Bali isn't what it used to be. And you probably had a hand in destroying it. Bali is one of the 6,000 islands that surround Indonesia.
6,000?
Yeah, approximately 6,000 inhabited islands, but depending on categorization, there are about 17,000 islands in total.
17,000? I've already been to a few.
Yeah, it's a lot of islands, and out of all these islands, Bali is arguably the most popular, the it island, if you will. Located in the Indonesian archipelago, it sits in a corner of Southeast Asia, and it's surrounded by different water bodies. In the south, it faces the Indian Ocean. The north is the Bali Sea, which is part of the larger Java Sea, and the east is part of the Lombok Strait, a small channel of water between Bali and its neighboring island, Lombok. Basically, there's sea all around. And this is one of the reasons why Bali's waters are so rich with marine biodiversity. And what's more interesting, the different corners are known for varying marine life. In the north is where you'll find spinner and bottlenose dolphins. The manta rays, they're in the south, and in the east, it's coral garden galore. So you'll find nudibranchs, shrimps, seahorses, and even the bumphead parrotfish, which I personally had the pleasure of witnessing about 10 years ago on a 5 a.m. dive.
Wait, you saw the bumpheads?
Yeah, the bumphead parrotfish, they were so amazing. I think it was a place called Tulamben Wreck. But side note, online, divers are saying that they haven't seen the bumpheads for a couple of years, maybe since COVID or around there. I'm not sure exactly why or if this is completely true. So if you have seen the bumphead recently, please comment down below. We'd love to know that they're still there. Anyway, the island is prone to natural disasters due to its geographical location, but also because of its location, it has amazing beaches, lush greenery, and unbeatable viewpoints.
So, what did the big waves, clear waters, and pretty beaches attract?
It attracted humans. So, in just over 50 years, Bali has gone from this untouched, pristine land, thriving with life and covered in greens and blues, to this unrecognizable urbanized version of herself. Kind of reminds me of Te Fiti, you know, the one from Moana, when she was a happy green island and then people took her heart away. Anyway, according to scientific surveys of Indonesia's forests, the country as a whole has lost a large percentage of its forests to logging. The percentage of forest-covered land has dropped from 80% to 50%. And in Bali, this is primarily due to urbanization and tourism development. Yearly, it's estimated that Bali loses about 750 hectares of land to tourism-related development.
How big is it?
Yeah, I think let's put the numbers in perspective, shall we? So, do you know Pearl's Hill? It's in Chinatown, Singapore. It's kind of flying between Ocean Park MRT and Chinatown MRT station. There's an OG nearby, I think, and it's close to Singapore General Hospital.
Yeah, okay, I think I've been there.
Yeah, so if you read the local newspapers, sometime in November, the Straits Times actually published news that there's a new mixed residential project coming up in Pearl's Hill, and it's projected to create over 10,000 homes. This project will take up 45 hectares of land in Pearl's Hill, and that's approximately 63 football fields. Now, imagine Pearl's Hill in your mind and multiply that by about 100. That's how much land Bali loses in a year. And what else needs that much land? Of course, human greed. Side note, I thought Singapore had a declining population and no one's making babies, or like the fertility rate is low in proper English. So what's up with the massive influx of new housing? Even Sembawang's last bit of forest is gonna go. But I don't know, let's not digress and maybe keep it to another video. So yeah, back to Bali. There are a handful of popular areas there. On top of my head, there's Kuta, Uluwatu, Canggu, and offshore islands like Nusa Penida and Nusa Lembongan, which are little islands surrounding Bali. Let's take Canggu for example. The beachfront, which was once covered in paddy fields, is now converted to establishments that cater to tourists. In 2020, there is estimated to be about 3,800 rooms for visitors to stay in the Canggu area. And in 2025, it's predicted there'll be over 6,000 rooms. So with all these rooms and all this space for humans, where do the Bali miners and the macaques go? According to modern law, Bali was put on the map because of one photograph that was taken back in the 1970s. In this picture, there's Rusty Miller on the left and Stephen Cooney on the right, with surfboards in their hand running towards a white-blue canvas of waves. So guess which beach in Bali that is?
Canggu.
Canggu? That's actually Uluwatu, one of like the most popular surf spots in modern day Bali. And according to the law, that's how Bali's name was put onto the map as a surfer's paradise. And that's not the only image that propelled Bali into popularity though. Have you heard of Eat, Pray, Love, the movie with Julia Roberts, and it was shot in Bali, parts of it at least. And I guess that movie kind of helped create this image of Bali being a place of healing, finding yourself, yoga, cleansing, emotional detox, and the likes of that. More recently, there's another movie on Netflix, I don't know if you heard about it, it's called Ticket to Paradise, also Julia Roberts. And I don't know if anyone can find anything online if she has a contract with the government or something. I haven't looked into it yet, but if you know, please comment below. Like, what's up if I'm Bali? And I don't know, for me, I just think that people with the cameras, the budget, the ideas should use that to put the focus on the original landowners, no? Like, not create rom-coms that promote fantastical ideas of how life on this island can be if you move there. But again, that's for another conversation. What I wanted to get to originally is tourism is a fine line. The artist, the cameraman, the one in charge, they should have one thing in mind if sustainability is a concern and if they have any respect whatsoever in their intention when filming a place, is that honor the landowners. Although that might be the original intention with that photo back in the 1970s, something must have gone wrong somewhere along the lines. Because did they make one too many movies? Like, did people start looking at the land as a means to their gains? The original landowners always know the best way to upkeep the sanctity of that land. And if we have the knowledge to improve quality of life, sure. But the onus is on us to help lead landowners in the right direction so their culture isn't eroded and they retain agency. Once that power is removed, it's a danger zone, isn't it? It's verging towards modern colonialism, isn't it? So we've basically covered that with humans come deforestation and rapid urbanization. And now we're going to cover one other thing that comes with humans. And no other species adds to this problem. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that with this one material, humans have single-handedly created their demise, which is plastic. Unfortunately, urbanization didn't come hand in hand with sustainability and loads of plastic are entering the waterways. Actually, about 20% of Bali's waste is actually plastic, and out of that, at least 30,000 tons of plastic enter the ocean each year. So, perspective time again, that's about 3,000 garbage trucks full of plastic straight into the ocean. Now, I've dived Bali's waters countless times. In fact, all the trips I've been to Bali for, they've all been dive trips. One of the most coveted animals to see when diving in Bali's waters are the manta rays. So there are two types, both the reef mantas and the oceanic manta rays, which are both listed as in Appendix 2 on CITES. Side note, if you're not familiar, CITES is basically this thing called the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, which basically classifies every animal there is, and if they're endangered, threatened, least concerned, etc., etc., right? And thereby determining how protected the species should be in the wild, or also known as in situ, and ex situ, meaning in zoos or institutions, something like that. It also determines if international trade of the species should be banned. So, on the CITES list, the reef mantas are vulnerable and the oceanic mantas are an endangered species. And the best time to see these majestic creatures in Bali are usually during the monsoon season between November to March every year. And my first time seeing that was in my early 20s, I believe, and the waters were clear. It was such a good time. The second time I went there, it was specifically just to see the manta rays, and I was going to take my advanced diving certification. So that was about a couple years back. And every dive I went on, my BCD is that floaty life jacket thingy that divers wear when they go down. So my BCD pockets were filled with trash. I was collecting trash more than I was enjoying the dive. In fact, when we flipped off the boat and into the waters, I was floating around trash as I waited for all the other divers to come into the water as well, as before we all went down together. So it was just, I'm not even exaggerating, it was just waters with trash. Based on a 2019 study on the manta rays in Indonesian waters, a single manta ray swimming in the Nusa Penida during the monsoon season can consume up to 63 pieces of plastic per hour of feeding during the monsoon season.
63 pieces?
Yes, 63 pieces of plastic. So just imagine every time you eat your food, every lunch, dinner, breakfast, whatever, there's 63 pieces of plastic on your plate.
So, what's being done?
Loads actually. Loads of non-profit organizations are popping up trying to do something to save Bali. A prominent one is Sungai Watch, an organization committed to keeping trash out of Bali's waterways. It was started by 3 siblings who grew up in Bali, and since its conception in 2020, Sungai Watch is now collecting about 3 tons of trash from Bali's waters every day. And honestly, there are many other NGOs worth a mention that I don't even know where to start, but to name a few, there's Mudfish No Plastic, honestly such a cute name. They work hard to educate local communities about plastic waste through arts-based workshops and sustainable practices. And there's also the Wisnu Foundation, which I believe, based on my research, it's one of the pioneers in sustainability groups based in Bali. They started in about the 1990s, 1993, I think, and they addressed waste management, sustainable tourism, resource conservation, while focusing on empowering communities through a change in mindset, where through the proper upkeep of the natural way of things, tourism is meant to become an effect and not a primary goal. And I think that's a very fantastic way to put it. Even the government is ramping up efforts to flip the switch and save Bali. There's a moratorium set to curb the development of some hotels, clubs, and villas in Bali.
You said moratorium?
Yeah, basically, it's a temporary prohibition of an activity, so in this case, tourism-related development. As of now, they haven't declared how long this ban will last, but there's talk that it can be put in place for up to 10 years, which honestly is much needed because that's about the time required for balance in Bali to be restored, for jobs to be more equally distributed, and to boost the quality of life and allow sustainability practices to actually make a change, and to preserve the island's indigenous culture. Because, side note, as of now, there's about 200,000 foreigners living in Bali, and you can kind of figure out how this can add to crime rate, problems such as competition for jobs and overdevelopment.
Hey guys, taking over for a bit. So as always on 4-1s, we try to talk about topics related to wildlife, slow travel and culture around the world to inspire healthy and intellectual discussion. And at the heart of this is respect towards the original custodians of each land. So let's be frank, we can't escape capitalism, but we can make tiny decisions daily that place in the favour of what's good in the world. So on our channel, we're looking for people like you, a group of conscious travellers, thinking travellers who understand that every decision and every purchase is power in your hands. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, like this video, follow us on YouTube and Instagram, and subscribe so you never miss a notification. And with that, back to the video.
So, there's all these things, and then you're probably wondering how you can help. Almost everywhere you go, there are 6 checklist items that you can do. First is to choose locally owned accommodation with sustainable practices, if possible. Second is to support community-based tourism. Third is to eat local, shop local. Fourth, travel responsibly. So that means no animal exploitation, reduce your carbon footprint where possible, and minimize the environmental impact. 5th, donate to local causes. And 6th, respect the local culture. When in Bali, you can join environmental cleanups organized by local NGOs. Sungai Watch is one of them that organizes cleanups. I think there's quite a few other organizations, and even divers can participate as well, as there are underwater cleanups too that happen sometimes. Another thing you can do is to look for Airbnbs run by local landowners, and if you're joining a tour, pick one that's led by locals. For example, Getaway Camp Bali is one. It's kind of popular. I've been on it before. They have an amazing team. It's really fun. You go up to Munduk, you kind of hike the place, you canoe through the lake. I think it's Tumblingan Lake, if I'm not wrong. You eat in a local's home, and they cook for you, and you have an experience of the culture, and it's honestly amazing. So we can add the link to Getaway Camp Bali in the description box below. And as a general rule of thumb is to stick to local cultures and customs. This will steer you towards activities that respect the land and are honestly just so much more enriching. There's really so many more micro decisions we can make that will benefit the preservation of the natural environment if we just put a little more thought into things and leave each place a little better than we found them. And if you want to make your trip a little bit easier, you can ask for my map of Bali that I have all the pinned locations of the best local restaurants, locally run businesses, and accommodation. So if you don't want this, comment down below. I'm always updating my maps, and yeah, if you comment down below, at least we know which ones to kind of like refresh and focus on. Thank you guys so much for staying to the end of the video. Honestly, we are creators at heart, and we have other jobs during the day, so we script and video ourselves in the wee hours of the night, so your support means the world to us. We want to continue to speak up for what's right and what's good in the world, so follow us on our YouTube and Instagram pages for more of such videos and such topics. In between this video and the next, we'll continue to work on ourselves and be 1% better than we were yesterday, and we hope that you do too. Love you guys!
But did something go alright?
Did something go? 4th, travel responsibilities.
Travel responsibilities. I have.